simple. I think I'm going to make one of my favorite on top of the stove. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, she'll be done. A chicken and spinach with a little bit of pasta in it. And so what I did is I thawed out my nice chicken breast here. And what I like to do is I like to just cut them in little pieces. And you know, you can cut them in little pieces, big pieces, it really doesn't matter, and they don't have to have a certain shape because it's all going to go in the pan. And we're going to saute this a little bit, and then we're going to add, I'm going to add my favorite marinade, which I like Greek marinade. And you can add any marinade that you would like to. And with the marinade, we are going to put a little, after that, we're going to put a little chicken broth. If you have chicken broth that you've made and froze, you can use that. I'm going to use just a little instant base here. And what else I'm going to put in there is fresh spinach, and I'm going to cook some whole grain pasta, because again, this is all about quick and easy, but also nutritious. And really, there's a lot of good whole grain pastas out there that you would like. So try them. Don't say yuck. And you want to wash your hands really good because we just touched our chicken. All right. There we go. And our skillet over here, again, we've got it on a little bit on the high side just to warm it up. And we'll bring our chicken over here. And my fresh spinach. My goat cheese for the very end. You can use feta cheese. A lot of people do. But to me, the feta cheese doesn't have that much of a taste. The goat flavor is softer, smoother. It almost turns this into like a little white sauce you'll see at the end, because we throw it in right at the end. And my marinade is the Greek, and then I'm going to use some whole grain rotinis. So my pan's getting a little bit hot here. And we're going to use some of our olive oil. Always heat up your pan and throw in the olive oil. I should have heated it probably a little bit longer. Again, when you're not working with a gas stove, you have to remember, and I didn't this time, to put your pan on earlier. You do want to get your pan hot and then throw the oil in. I didn't do that, but you'll see what happens when you don't. So we're going to wait till that comes up to temperature and get my little, let's see, we're going to use our spoon here. And what I have in the back is I've got a pan of salted water that I just started. We're going to just lower it a little bit. It's always good, again, to start your pasta water and just warm it up, and then we're going to keep it warm, and then we can throw in the pasta. Okay. This is looking pretty good. Now you just want to coat your pan with olive oil. There we go. Get it all over the place. Okay. And again, I'm just going to lower it a notch, and then we're just going to spoon in our pieces of chicken breast that we cut up. You hear that sizzle? It's such a nice sound, isn't it? I love it. It says we're going to be able to eat soon because things are cooking. It's always a good sound to hear in a kitchen. It's about the time your little ones start running in and saying, "Mom, can you help me with this, Mom?" You know, one of your kids are quarreling with the other, usually when the sizzling goes on. So be careful when those little wee ones run in. Keep your handles always cocked that way, never out like this. If you have a pot like mine with a handle, you never want to have it out there, just in case those little ones come along. I know mine did. I had 4. Of course, they're not little anymore. Now I've got all the grandkids. So we're going to just let this sizzle away. I don't know if you can see, the bottom of our chicken is getting really white. So it's starting to cook up. And see how easy this is now to move the chicken? And that's because we got our skillet nice and hot, and we had hot with the oil, okay? So then we're just gonna flip them over. You don't have to if you want to take the time. Again, I don't probably take as much time as I should, but I think as long as they're getting a little lightly brown, you're getting that flavor in your pan, into the oil. Okay, because what we're going to do after we flip it, there we go. Looks like our water is more than ready back there for our pasta, and I don't want to stick the pasta in yet. We're going to let this cook for a little bit, you know, maybe 10 minutes, and then we're going to put the pasta in. So you just kind of stir the meat around, get both sides so that they've cooked a little bit in the oil. You don't want to lower it too much. Browning chicken just in the oil just brings out such a nice flavor. It really does pay to brown, to take the time and brown, because it does add another dimension of flavor to your dish. There. Now, all our nice pink chicken is white. And so now's the time, get your favorite marinade. You can, if you want to be creative, make your own, you can. This is all about quick and fast. Just got home, we need to get a good dinner on in about 25 minutes. So I'm going to just add now a couple tablespoons. Oops. And to that, I'm heating my water. Just kind of let that simmer a little bit together and let it coat your chicken. Look how nice that looks. Looks good enough to eat, but folks, it's not ready yet. You want to cook your chicken well. So we'll just let that marry together a little bit. And then I have a really nice chicken broth paste that I like from my grocery store, and again, you can use any one that you'd like to, and it calls for about a teaspoon of it per 1 cup. You hear that? There we go. Oh, that smells so good. The basil, the garlic, the oil. And I'm heating up some water back here in my little hot shot. And we're going to just take a cup of water because, and again, this isn't, you know, if you don't want to add a cup, it really depends how much liquid and broth that you would like in your plate. You could just do a half a cup. You could even, instead of doing the broth, chicken broth, you could add a half a cup of wine. There we go. It's boiling nicely. Now we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to cook it for 20 minutes, and she'll be done. We'll take the lid off. There we go. We got it a good boil. We're gonna keep the lid on for probably 10 to 15 minutes, and then take the lid off so that it can caramelize a little bit. And that's when we're going to throw in our spinach, and we'll have cooked our pasta already, and we'll throw that in, and at the very end we're going to put in the goat cheese. All right, it's been 10 minutes now that this has been simmering, our chicken with the marinade, and I put a cup of chicken broth, and you could see now how that's cooked down. So now we're going to cook it for a total of 10 more minutes with the cover off. And you want to lower it a little bit. And again, just to recap, if you didn't want to use the chicken broth, you could use white wine. Get your favorite cheap white wine, they work well. And you can put a half a cup in there of the white wine. And just remember that a total of 10 minutes covered, 10 minutes uncovered. And then soon we will be cooking our pasta, and we'll add the pasta and the spinach in first and let that cook. I like to let the spinach cook maybe 5 minutes. So put your timer on and let that be your gauge when to stick your spinach in next. There we go. You see how nicely the water, our broth, has evaporated and how it's starting to caramelize over the chicken? We're down to a few. We got about 5 more minutes left for that. I've got literally two handfuls of nice whole grain pasta cooking in the back. So now I've got some fresh baby spinach that I've washed. I rinsed it off. You can put about a colander full. You can really add as much spinach as your family or your guests like. Sometimes for my husband, I'll do a 20-ounce bag of spinach for us. I like to get the organic. I try to put organic in our diet whenever I can. I know it's expensive, but when you can do some things organically, it's really so much more nutritious, so much more vitamins and minerals from the organic foods. Now, you can hear this sizzling. The spinach is going to really... pasta looks. Oh yeah, I like to take it out. Let me turn the right one off. When it's still a little chewy. And because what's going to happen is by the time we throw it in, it's still cooking. Look at all that steam. And again, this is all the pasta that we have. Literally 2 handfuls. Our 20 minutes has already elapsed, so your chicken is done. Just simmering it a little bit more till the spinach is to your liking. And I think that looks good enough for me. Now I'm going to add my 2 handfuls. Look at all that pasta there. And I mean, I got big, pretty good sized hands. And look at all that look at all the pasta. That's lots of pasta in there, more than enough for a family of, well, I would serve this to 4. I'm turning off the stove now, and I'm going to put in, I've got my goat cheese. I'm going to put in probably half a cup and just, yep. We're just going to stir that around. And goat cheese is so soft and so creamy. That's why I like it, and it has a nice goat flavor. I mean, it's not nasty. It's a nice creamy texture. Here, I'm going to bring it. Oh, you should smell it. Oh, that smells wonderful. Look at this. And you see how the goat cheese is, some of it's melting, some of it is not. Kind of gives a little creaminess to our little sauce that's been made, that's been built up from the little bit of the chicken broth we use, a little bit of the pasta broth that we used. And the spinach itself, there we go. Look at how nice that is. It's good and hot, so be careful when you taste it. But we gotta have a bite. Mm-mm. Mm. Delicioso. It's such an easy dish to make. Remember, in a half an hour from beginning to come in the kitchen to the table, you can have this on your table. Make a salad, just throw some nice greens together and some fresh vegetables, and you've got a wonderful, healthy, and wholesome meal for dinner tonight.